Hi, y'all. It's Bridget Cutshaw with Real Things Living. Today, my guests are twins, Jonah and Sally Ismael. Hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yes,
And
you did.
they are competitive, very competitive Taekwondo athletes. They wrote a book recently called The Night Blooming, and they started a nonprofit in 2018 called The Power Within. Can you say hi, Sally and Jonah?
Hi,
Hi,
thank you
man.
so much for having us.
I appreciate it. You guys are very unique and very positive, and I love that you still work together, right? Twins are kind of hard to separate. I don't have twins, but you're kind of hard to separate physically
Oh
and
yeah,
probably.
yep.
I,
Every single minute is together.
that is so cool. And what I think is cool that you're still doing the competitive taekwondo.
Mhm.
And I'm assuming you got into that when you were in high school, or was it younger age?
Oh, it was whenever we were young.
It was about, I think, the age of 8 for me, and then Jonah
I
was
was
7.
7.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
an
so
Been doing it for like approximately like 10 years.
mhm. And at that time I was so engaged in competitive gymnastics, and then Jonah had joined a class of Taekwondo, and after every gymnastics class I would go and look at him and I'd be like, wow, that seems cool. And
Since
I
that was like the environment I was introduced
Mhm.
into Taekwondo, and that's where I fell in love with it.
It's truly just a different sport. It's not just the art of kicking and punching. It's not all about that. It's about the principles that it teaches you and just how life altering the sport can be.
That is cool. I've heard that it does provide a lot of wisdom to help you think things through, right? Not just the
Yeah.
fighting aspect, but
Mhm.
about life. And
Yes,
it
ma'am.
sounds like you took that, what you've learned in dealing, when you're a teenager too. I'm sure we all dealt with weird stuff. And it
Mhm.
sounded like my understanding is you also had to deal with bullying, right?
Mhm.
And can you tap on that a little bit? How you, it sounds to me like you use this taekwondo to help you overcome some of this.
Of course, yes, ma'am. So we experienced bullying as well as abuse by our former Taekwondo master
Oh,
or coach. And he abused us psychologically, emotionally, and mentally whenever we were at the age of 10. And this experience, like we continually tried to get out of it, tried to leave his dojo, tried to escape this form of abuse, which just surrounded us in negativity during our childhood, during the entirety of our childhood. And this repetitive, you know, trying like action of trying to get out, it never worked. He threatened all the coaches within our area as well as outside of our state to take us in as their own athletes. And so we were left out in the open, just trying to figure out what we were going to do, how we were going to continue this sport of Taekwondo, which we loved so fondly, not just for kicking and punching, as I mentioned before, but because of how it empowered us and allowed us to become the best versions of ourselves. And
And we started like training any place we could, like whether it be in our driveway, our high school track and field,
mhm.
whether it be in the park, because we were constantly driven and constantly passionate about our sport. And we didn't want this abuse to take us down and to make us
Mhm.
rip away from the sport that we love.
Yes, so this training pretty much out in the open, trying to find, wherever we could make any use of training. It lasted about a year until we just sat down together and we reflected and we were like, we want to continue this sport of Taekwondo, continue participating in it, continue learning from it. It's truly a journey which you learn something new every day and about yourself and about the origin of the sport. And so we decided that we wanted to continue this sport that we love so much, and we created the first ever garage dojo in our home, and we've been training there since 8 years ago.
Eight years
We're
ago.
still there, and we still have we
That
still like it.
passion.
It's still hard to go into training every day whenever there seems to be no hope, no motivation. After all, we don't have any proper training facilities. We don't have any coaches. We don't have any teammates to motivate us. And that it does a lot, that environment, to an athlete. And we didn't have that right. We didn't have that right of an athlete in those situations. However, we still have that goal that we want to make it to the Olympics one day. We don't know how and we don't know when, but we believe that there is this destined plan for us, just as we had believed whenever we had made it to the World Cadet Championships, coming from this small, dark garage from Plano, Texas. And we made it to this global stage with 64 plus countries and the best of the best athletes there. But we were there with them as well. And it was through the resilience that we had adapted to, and the discipline that we had, enabled ourselves with. And it's just through that journey of self-discovery that we found the best, version of ourselves, and we continue today.
I like how you said that, the self-discovery and resilience. But what probably has helped you is because you guys were twins and you were supporting each other.
Yeah.
That really helped.
Yes, exactly. My sister, she was my other coach. She would give me feedback. We were coaches for each other. We had no one else. And whenever one person was lacking in something, the other person would always improve them. And we were constantly building and constantly advancing together. And Sally was a driving force for me to keep enduring through the obstacles and challenges that we had gone through. She had kept pushing me and kept driving me to see us together in the Olympics one day, to see us together, prosper together, whether it be in our academics, whether it be going to get together in college, whether it be advancing in our rank in our sport, Taekwondo. But we were going to do this together, and we were constantly improving with each other. And she was the key factor of my success and growth. And it's just, it's amazing.
And Jonah always constantly empowered me as a woman. Like, I went into this situation weak, and, I would cry every day in training, but he truly empowered me to become the woman I am today. He just uplifted me with believing in myself and the strength that I had within myself. And it wasn't just our relationship together, but also our mom would be in the corner of the garage, wrapped in a blanket in the cold days of Texas, as well as in the hot days with no AC. And she would be videoing us on her camera. And that was the only way of improvement we could have. We would sit together and review these videos, just trying to help each other improve from that iPhone, those videos. Those were all that we had, and YouTube videos, and just searching online, trying to research as best as we could how to improve ourselves, not only in our sport,
new strategies and new techniques.
Not only
that's all we had
in our sport, but also physically and mentally. We were working on both the mind and the body, and we were trying to connect them together. And that's where, as well, education came in. We truly realized the power that education has during this journey, during these past 8 years. We were forced upon a experience that we had no control over. It was our identity that we were being criticized on. We were being discriminated based on. And it was that we started questioning, but it was through education that we were enabled to empower ourselves and realize that it's not our problem. It's the outside forces. And it was education. That was the one thing that we can control, that we could decide that we can control our destiny and our future with. And that's what we continue to advocate for in our nonprofit organization, The Power Within, and what we continually detail in The Night Blooming. It's that power that education can have on a person, especially undergoing these type of circumstances, whether it be discrimination or bullying or racism or abuse. It's it's the power of education and the power of knowledge and opening doors for everyone. And Jonah, you wanted that?
And instead of like seeing our garage as a cell, as a cell, like a jail cell, we saw it as a laboratory to like venture into new obstacles, venture into new limits that we didn't know we had, but put ourselves in situations where we say that we don't know the consequence, we don't know what's the outcome, but we know, but if we get through this obstacle and we get through this consequence, then we can arise as a new individual and better individual with new determinations, with new goals, and with new boundaries that he can or she can surpass.
Sorry. So my thought was, you mentioned the word education. Did you take additional classes other than just going to school? I was just curious on that.
Yes, ma'am. So most importantly was the power of books for us. It wasn't just, reading, fiction books or nonfiction books. It was also just researching, it was new medical innovations on how to connect our mind with our body, and even venturing out to ancient philosophers such as Iban Cena, where we found our identity in. We resembled with him as two Arab kids in Texas, and we found ourselves in him. We found that the exception in these books and in this research, and we found that our identity was valuable, and that through all of this research and knowledge that we had accumulated, we had gained so much perspective and so much, open-mindedness, and that allowed us to
overcome the obstacles,
survive in the garage. It allowed us to create new solutions to the problems that we were being encountered by every day.
Right. It's great. I love that you brought up the word books, because books contain so much knowledge, and you're learning the author's perspective, usually, especially if it's nonfiction, right? I mean, you can learn from fiction too, but I think nonfiction usually have more lessons and takeaways that you can dive into. And I like your positive attitude. That's one thing you have in common. To me, if bad things happen, things are negative, but to me, it helps you get through the day. And you're the same way, having that positive attitude. And it's like your sport that you're involved in, it really, truly helped you focus, right?
Yes. It was that's why that was part of that shift in perspective that we had in the garage. Just as Jonah mentioned, we didn't view it as this place where we had to go, that we were, forced upon. We had to change that mindset into, this is an opportunity for us. We've been allowed the opportunity to be focused, to be disciplined in our goal, and to emerge as a new individual, as a stronger individual, as a more intelligent individual. And we were working on ourselves these past 8 years in this garage. And it was there that we truly were able to go to the next level.
And as Sally said, with the books, in the books, when we were reading, we would see people going through the same obstacles that we had. And we were learning how they overcame the obstacles, how they overcame the limitations. And through reading research papers, we were seeing how the power of the mind and the true capabilities it withholds in a person's life, in overcoming the most negative aspects of anybody's life or obstacles that anyone could think. How do you overcome that? Well, the mind is the key factor. The mind is the source of all that we can do in our limits that we can set, because what you think you cannot do, the mind says, yes, we can do.
And we continue to advocate for that wherever we go, especially on our main advocacy platform, on our Instagram at Sally and Jonah Ismael. We post daily, inspirational messages, and as well as developing like our trainings, the trainings that we had developed on there. We post them daily, just trying to, advocate for that power of the mind and the body connection. And we even took that purpose that we had discovered of ourselves during these past 8 years into our nonprofit organization. We've done multiple projects ranging from filling and fundraising for backpacks filled with school supplies for not just our community, but internationally as well. And we've even gathered thousands of books and worked with organizations internationally in Africa to empower education through reading books and enabling literacy there. So our main target especially is these underprivileged areas, because we understand how they lack those resources which can truly transform lives. Education can transform lives, and it's that we see that there's a lack of over there in areas that lack those resources, and we try to help bridge those gaps wherever we can.
Yeah, I like that, because reading, so when you're talking about giving them, do you provide books? Is it like children's, I guess, what age group? It doesn't matter.
It ranges
from kinder to 12th grade.
Kinder to 12th grade. We provide picture books as well as chapter books. So we try to cover as much as we can.
And also like nonfiction, like you said, because it's a very important genre of books.
It's one thing I've done with my family. Now, I'm not a grandmother, but I have my nephews have like kids, and so everybody only gets books from me now. That's how I raised I just think it's important. I mean, video games are cool and stuff, but I think you think and reflect on what you're reading, right? It slows you down a little bit. And
exactly. Back to reflecting on your life and reflecting.
Yeah, it helps you reflect. And another thing that popped up into my brain is you built confidence. And that is something I've written about in the past, about example of sports can help. It doesn't matter what sport you're in. If you find something that you like or you're gaining something from that, it helps you build, I think it helps you build confidence. And everybody's, what they like is different. And I never was exposed to Taekwondo. I mean, I grew up, it just depends on where you live and what you're exposed to. And I was exposed to, you got to run, right? And I think, but then I learned that I grew up in the 70s. Okay. So soccer wasn't popular then, but I probably would have liked it. You know what I'm saying? I just don't know, because running involved. And
we
opportunities you had during that time.
And we completely understand that, because that was the common thing as we were growing up as well. Like even in school, whenever we would come in, like we had just gone to this huge international open competition, and we had medaled, and there were all these countries there, and we would come home and we'd bring our medal, we'd be talking about our experience, so and just how amazing this, not only just the competition and the feeling and the pride, but also the experience that got us there, as well as the culture that we were immersed in. But we would come home and people didn't take it seriously because it was Taekwondo. It was something that they were unfamiliar with, and that's what also we tried to educate with. We tried to advocate for the sport of Taekwondo and what it can teach you, because especially in this modern times, we see that Taekwondo may be viewed as like, oh, I'm gonna kick and punch, like that's so cool.
But that's not all it is about.
That's not it. During these past 8 years, we were also researching the origin of our sport, and with that comes the principles that it was founded on, and it's those that truly attract and individuals to this sport, and what makes it so unique.
Right. It sounds like it's very, it's kind of spiritual in a way. Is that the right word? And
yes, it's like a soul, mind, and body connection.
Yeah, and your mindset grows, and it makes you definitely help you look at a situation, reflect on it, and can help you solve some problems rather than reacting. Isn't that the word? You don't react as much.
It helps you like kind of look back at the situation, step back, analyze it, and then find a solution, as you just said.
Right. That is, I use my running to, it just helps me be in the moment. Right. That's how I look at it. And I don't run marathons. I don't, that's not I've done the half marathon, but I'm more of
just a free spirit.
Yeah, it's my spirit. It just helps me, makes me happy. And I went on a run yesterday. after work because I
Oh,
was
you
Yeah,
too.
I
a
did
little
too.
angry. You know what I'm saying? Not sure that angry, but I'm like, I gotta go get this. But it just
Yeah.
helped. I mean, I don't go out there sprinting but the Taekwondo, I've learned from you guys. I mean, what is another sport that's similar to that? I can't, I've heard Taekwondo,
It's kind of like to karate,
Yes.
karate.
kickboxing,
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that's what's
martial arts.
Yeah, it's a scope of martial arts. They
martial
all
arts. Yeah, that's the word. Right.
all
Yeah,
have these principles.
I don't, they probably had that available when I just don't, but my parents let me dance. I was a,
Yes,
It
those
just
are the
maybe it
classic
wasn't popular
sports.
during that
Yes.
time. So like
Yeah, like Jonah even, he tried, I think, more than 5 sports. He tried basketball, baseball, soccer.
all the popular sports,
Yes.
yes,
I would
Just to try to fit
I would
in.
try them, but I would like I would see I'm not finding myself here. But as soon as I joined Taekwondo, I'm like, this is where I am meant to
that's
be.
perfect. I'm
Yes.
glad
And
you
this
found
is
that.
and like this is where I will prosper. And it will teach me so much stuff that will help me later in life also.
Mhm.
From like the different principles like determination, discipline, integrity, and
Yeah.
perseverance.
I like you made the reference to you try different sports and that's how you're going to find what you like. Right.
Mhm.
And that's how I found, I like running because my parents had me do softball. I think it's so stupid because I'm sorry, the balls are humongous and we're little.
Yes.
And they put me out there to run they filled me in because I didn't know at the time. I liked it and I was good at it. And
Mhm.
dancing, I like dancing, but again, it wasn't fast. I don't know why. That's how I am. But
But you
I,
found yourself. Mhm.
yeah, I found myself trying those other sports. Like I said earlier, gymnastics. I can't believe I learned that I was good at running because it was involving the sprinting on the,
Yeah.
Which is
the
exact. I can relate to that also because that's where
Mhm.
I used to play soccer whenever I was very little, and I realized then that I love to kick. Like I
oh
love to
yeah,
use
yeah.
like for you the gymnastics. For me, it was like the soccer. That
Yeah.
was what truly made me find out about Taekwondo and what I really love to do. And same with Sally with gymnastics.
Mhm. Yes, I gained so much flexibility from that. So it was definitely a
It's
bonus.
very, very useful in Taekwondo.
It's very useful, I'm sure. And martial arts has a lot of good lessons to teach people, and we should talk about it more. But I think in our US culture, we just focus on the violence sports. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I've seen.
Mhm.
Uh,
Especially with sports like kickboxing or boxing
yeah,
in general.
that's
Like
right. And that's kind of
all
what
you see is
people are
violence.
they don't understand the difference on how it's conveyed, the messaging. And I like how I've noticed, which is good, the Eastern and Western cultures especially with not just the sports you talk about, but like with medicine. It's
Yes,
just,
yes.
there's a reason that stuff's been so helpful for decades and thousands of years.
Mhm.
We need
We're
to,
actually even researching the medicine the difference between and the interconnection between Eastern and Western medicine. We actually go back to our roots and go to Ibn Sina. He helped us a lot during these past 8 years as he allowed us to truly just gain understanding of that mind and body connection. And
yes,
he truly was
He's fascinating.
amazing.
Amazing.
And it's just so sad to us how, no one knows about him today. It's just so,
You don't hear
it's
his
just
name.
disappointing because he's just done so much, not only for the whole field of medicine today, but just for life in general, for discovery. And we
right.
just want to thank that
Like
as well.
for a concept for like the COVID, whenever we
Yeah.
were isolating in the
Quarantining.
in the quarantine, we used his technique of al-arbaniya, which means just like a 40-day isolation period,
Uh-huh.
but extended a long time. So most of the stuff and most of the medicine and most of the innovation that we use today, the roots are from Ibn Sina, since he was truly fascinating in a variety of aspects of
Yes.
medicine, whether it be in like pharmacology,
Mhm.
whether it be in psychology, or even just surgery, because he's truly the foundation of what we like to say, like in medicine. I mean, his textbook was used for 500 to 600 years after.
Yeah, he's truly an icon. He's truly an icon for us, especially since we hope to go into the medical field, and hopefully both of us want to become neurosurgeons.
Oh, that's awesome. I have a neurosurgeon. I mean, didn't mention this guy before. I mean, I have like a rare primary brain tumor.
Yes, yes.
And the doctor that I chose to help monitor it, he is Dr. Tariq Ved. And I just met with a lot of doctors because I didn't know what to do. And I asked him, I said, if this was your wife, would you do surgery on her? And he said, no, because of where it's located, it would be very, very high risk. I had to do something. So he's been monitoring it. And I had a new technology at the time called CyberKnife, which shrunk it. But it's one of those things that grew slowly. I didn't know I had it, but I listened. I did the integrative medicine aspect. I didn't want to, I mean, you know, I had to get the traditional therapy, but this doctor has just been amazing. Because I'm like, some of these surgeons just want to like drill in my head right away. I'm like, I had a bad vibe from that, right?
Yes, yeah.
You have to look at the whole, and I think you understand this. That's why I think medicine is good.
Exactly.
You look at, everybody is different. Our bodies are not the same, and neurosurgeons are the bravest people. I think that's a great path to take. I think they're brave because they have to look at so many factors.
Yes.
And I just think it's you guys are learning so much. You're a great example. You had some bad experiences, but then you made takeaways and positive, and help you develop some good core values to your life, and you're taking responsibility and finding a purpose. And then the book The Night Blooming, which was published earlier this year, how did you get prompted? Did someone recommend that to you, or you just did it on your own? I'm just curious.
Oh no.
Actually,
so, you want me to explain the beginning?
Sure.
Okay. So The Night Blooming is really a collection of journals that we have wrote over the past 8 years of our life, and the past 10 years of our life, that we wrote every day from the experience that we had went through, documenting the emotions that were coming into us, documenting the feelings we were feeling during that time. And over time, I asked Sally, do you want to write a book together and then voice our struggles and voice our obstacles that we had endured through to the world, and let them see what we had gone through, and hopefully empower others.
Yes.
Right.
So this was, as Jonah mentioned, it was truly a healing journey for us. That's how we could not let the negativity that we were being surrounded by consume us. Instead, we were able to reflect on not only ourselves, but our emotions as well. And we got to get that mental, awareness. And this process of writing this book was honestly like a 3-year on and off journey. At times we were scared. Because we were exposing ourselves. We were we were vulnerable at these times, at these times that we were so weak, and we were fearing the judgment that may have resulted in that. But we always recentered to, this could actually affect someone's life. Someone could actually relate to this experience. It doesn't have to be the same exact one. It could be different circumstances, but it's just that message that I think we really felt deeply that we could affect someone else's life with. And that's what prompted us to write this book.
And storytelling is what people should say. That's very healing. That's what writers do. You're a writer too. You're writers too. And I think that's very healing for people. Like to hear that. Your experiences. And gosh, only knows trust me, you're gonna have another book in another few years. Because you're gonna have more experiences to share, especially if you're gonna go down the medical path. You're gonna have share more stories. That's just how I see it. And I am so glad that we connected. I love your positive attitude, and we have more in common than you realize. And we really do. I mean,
I love
Yeah.
your
Yes,
I love
and
it.
I love your story as well.
Oh, thank you.
It's amazing how you went
And
through this.
I don't talk about it much, but I was bullied too when I was younger because my grandmother is Vietnamese, my mother's French.
Oh,
So
wow.
I
That's an
look
interesting combination. Wow.
because my mother was married American soldier and that's why she's here. But I looked different when I was,
Yeah.
and so they, you understand that. And they made, they would ask me what I was, and I said, I am human. And that's what my response was.
Yes.
And I did do a DNA test. I'm sorry, I don't know if you know this, to see if I was an American Indian, just because people think I am, but I'm not.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to
Wow.
double check. But yeah, because on my father's side, it's British and Spanish. And my
Oh, I
mother's
Oh,
you have a
and,
very variety there.
wow. That's so
and
cool.
my mother is French and Vietnamese, but there's also Spanish there because they're from southern France. So
Mm.
it's just amazing. I love embracing all these different perspectives, and I just think it's great that you're being you, and I think it's fantastic story. And sorry I threw in there about me being bullied, but that's
Oh
what
no,
No, no, man,
it's
we love that.
experiences like those that you become convinced by society that they're weaknesses, but you truly, you grow out of that, and
yeah,
you grow up and you see that they're actually your strengths. They truly empower yourself, and they give you so much perspective in relation to others.
And like the people that we connect with each other because we have both gone through obstacles and we have both gone through situations where we didn't see that there was like a light at the end of the tunnel, but there is.
right. I just embrace who you are. That's what it is, and
Yeah.
it's gonna help you find your purpose rather than trying to be somebody you're not. And that's my takeaway from life and from our conversation. And this
Mhm.
has been awesome. I really love this. And I'm going to
Oh, thank you.
definitely recommend the listeners to get their book, The Night Blooming. And where can people find more about you guys? You have a
Mhm.
website or?
So the website for our book can be found at thenightblooming.com. And you can also find our book on Amazon, Kindle, Apple eBooks, Goodreads, Barnes and Noble, and so on. And our nonprofit organization website is thepowerwithinsj.org. And our main advocacy platform on Instagram is at Sally and Jonah Ismael. So be sure to give us a follow.
This is awesome. Thanks. And for those that are listening, I'll include the links in the description just in case you're driving while you're listening, right? So thanks again for your time, guys. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's been an
I really
honor.
enjoyed it with you.
Have a great day, everybody.